What's up, y'all? As you can tell at the title of this video, we're going to be discussing Black Dandyism, the Met Gala 2025, what I feel like was missed about regarding the Met Gala, and what I believe that should have been a little bit more present. I also want to talk about the females that attended the Met Gala and what they wore. And I just want to get into a couple of things. I'm not going to make this video extremely long, but I am going to be doing some deep dives and digging deep into my thought process of how I think about Black Dandyism. So let's just jump right into it. So for the 2025 Met Gala, the theme and the overall aesthetic of the gala was tailoring Black style, well, super fine, tailoring Black style. And the dress code of the gala was menswear, suiting, tailoring menswear, suits, things of that nature. But the overall theme of the gala was an emphasis on dandyism. Now, I don't know if you guys actually really know what dandyism is, but dandyism is basically European men stepping away from the style that was emphasized by the aristocracy in the late 18th, 17th century, right? So if you can remember the royal courts way back in the day, the men of the royal courts dressed extremely flamboyant. They wore wigs, they wore stockings, they wore heels, they wore makeup. It was just extremely flamboyant. So this guy named Beau Brummel came onto the scene and just started to influence the way that the men in the royal court dressed. So he started dressing so quote on so quote conservative. So he started wearing no stockings. He started wearing button up shirts, ties, blazer jackets. It was a sense of like rebellion against the aristocracy during those times. So that's who Beau Brummel is, and that's what dandyism is. Dandyism is refining the stylistic style of the royal court and the aristocracy, the people who was in charge of Europe during the 18th, 19th centuries. So since we got dandyism aspect pulled together and we know what dandyism is. Now, Black dandyism is when the transatlantic slave trade occurred and you had European men who captive slaves from Africa and basically made them work for them. So they basically had to take the way that they dressed and make it more for their own lifestyles and their aesthetics. So basically a Black dandy is somebody who was a slave who started dressing more European, more Victorian, more conservative of that time. Like it was, I wouldn't even say conservative because conservatism wasn't really even a thing during that time. But what I am trying to say is that they were dressing a lot. They dressed their slaves like how the way they wanted, like they dressed. So they wanted to see the slaves not in grungy workwear, not looking raggedy, not looking tired and sweaty, but they wanted their slaves to look like them. So they put them on blazer jackets. They put them on a button-down t-shirt, like button-down shirts, ties, pantsuits. It was just like a way for them to bring their slaves in their society, in their world, like visually, physically make them a part of their world. But as what Black people do all the time, Black people take one thing and they make it something completely different. So during the transatlantic slave trade, this basically occurred by, like I said, like slaves conforming and being dressed as their slave masters. But after the transatlantic slave trade and was it the antebellum period or is it the Reconstruction period? I'm not sure if it's antebellum or Reconstruction, but after slavery, slaves went out into society. So that's how the way they learned how to dress. Like people learned how to dress due to what they learned from their slaves, because Black people were stripped out of their identity when they came to the New World. So since we were stripped out our identity, we didn't know about our clothes, we didn't know about our heritage, we didn't know how the way we dress. Like we didn't know nothing, right? For Black people, we don't really know much of anything when it comes to our roots and our culture, the way we dress, like the physical aspect of it. Like, yeah, we know, but like we can't really put a visual aspect on it. So that's where Black Dandyism comes from. And it just comes from the way we see ourselves in the Eurocentric worlds, like Europe, America, Canada, like all of the like Anglo-Saxon white world that we were brought to. Like that's what dandyism is, like us being Black African people but being brought into a Eurocentric Americana society. And it's just us breaking down, stripping that ideals away and kind of adding our own twist and adding our own flair to it. Now that I described what dandyism is, how Black people participated in dandyism, and what being a Black dandy kind of is, now I want to get more into what being a Black dandy means for being like Black in America and knowing that we're Black, and now that we have our own sense of culture. So now we're talking about the Harlem Renaissance and us just basically being more acceptive and more expressive about our culture and who we are. So the Harlem Renaissance basically put emphasis on that. Now, even though during the Harlem Renaissance, we had more of a conservative, Victorian style during that time, during the 50s and the 40s, 50s, and the 60s, you know, right? And comparing it to today, now we have more of a rugged, more of a, more back to our roots towards workwear, towards, like going, like just being in everyday life, not trying to reach the heights of like Eurocentric standards. Like that's what streetwear is in a sense of fashion terms. Streetwear comes from the working class people of America. And who's the working class people of America? Black Americans. So now that we understand that streetwear is a birthing, is the baby of dandyism, is the baby of the Black experiences, like in being enslaved and being forced to conform. That's what streetwear is. It's taking our elements of workwear, our elements of struggle, our elements of being just the working class people that built America. Like we took that and we added our own spin to it. Designers like Willie Smith, Dapper Dan, and Lowe, like those were people who took our own experiences and applied them to where we are today in America. So like Willie Smith, he famously quoted that he doesn't make clothing for the queen, he makes clothing for the people that wave at her. And if you understand who is the queen and who idolizes the queen, is the people that is of her society, is the people that she rules. And those are what? Those are the working class people. Those are the everyday people. So just him saying that was just like a powerful aspect of Black fashion, and not even just about being Black, but being of the working class, being the standard of the person that makes society goes around. Because let's be for real, like, yeah, the rich provides jobs, they provide, you know, a lot of the things that the everyday working person needs, but the everyday working person makes the world goes around. It makes the world pick up on everything that you wouldn't, that everything rich people wouldn't pick up on, like social media, right? You'll go to the comments and you'll see like the realest comments, you'll see tea, you'll see everything that is basically of truth. So that's just kind of like the same thing from like luxury to streetwear, from slavery to the aristocratics, the people who rules the country and rules the world, is the fact that the majority usually dictates what's popular or what's deemed recognizable in a sense. You get what I'm saying? Or am I kind of like getting a little thrown off? Anyways, what I'm trying to articulate is the fact that Black people in America, we create different, we come from struggle. And from that struggle came from streetwear and vulnerability and expression and just us being everyday people. So that's the connotation that I'm trying to make, is that like people in the comments are the ones who drive thoughts. Like the ones who drive thoughts. You ever heard of like celebrities or people who are stature be like, oh, well, what they saying in the comments? What they saying in the comments? That just basically means that like, Dad, like, what are the people saying? What are the people wearing? What are the people doing? You know what I'm saying? So think about that when you think about Black Dandyism. When you think about Black Dandyism, and when you think about dandyism in the aspect of just dandyism period, even when it's reflected to the Eurocentric aspect of dandyism. Bo Brummel, he was tired of wearing the makeup. He was tired of wearing the heel. Like he was tired of it. So him influencing the aristocracy is the same way that how Black people influences European culture. Like how we like take European culture and we twist it and we make it our own culture due to the fact that we don't really know where we come from or how we can like identify like who we were before slavery. So woo, that was a lot, right? That was a lot. And it's deep. It is deep. And this goes to show you that, you know, conformity, rebellion, you know, like thinking out of the box, being different. That's what Black people do. So in a sense, you know, dandyism, even though it's a new term from, you know, since now everybody is talking about it and it's a new term, I feel like everybody in a sense has a sense of dandyism when it comes to, you know, who they are and where they come from, right? So yeah, like everybody has a sense of dandyism, and like not everybody, but most Black Americans have a sense of dandyism linked to their lineage. Most Black people probably now on this video comment and let me know, do y'all have pictures of y'all family members dressed up to the T's for church, dressed up for the weekends? Like it's just like a part of our culture to get into our style, because we never really had the chance to fully express our own heritage style, that like where we come from. So dandyism in a sense is like a part of that. So I'm just appreciative of, you know, the fact that this is now a conversation, because, you know, it's just been so many conversations just about like Black style and people not having the knowledge or even the terms to even link Black fashion to anything but besides like streetwear. And even though dandyism is, to me, a sense of conformity from European standards and European ideas, well, Black dandyism itself still, it rips all of that apart, and it gives us our own terminology. It gives us our own thought process to even think about how we dress and how the way we socialize and our social politics within the Black community, right? We got to think about those things when we thinking about, you know, how the way we dress and our style and where we come from. Those are all intertwined. So now we know about Black dandyism, and I'm not gonna lie, this video right here, like I'm not gonna be pulling up different things from the actual Met Gala, but what I am gonna do right now is I'm gonna put certain looks right here and kind of talk about my perspective. So my perspective of the Met Gala this year, I really have mixed emotions about it when it comes to super fine tailoring Black style. you know, the dress code, menswear, tailored for you, very broad, right? But as you can see, the internet, the media, pop culture kind of just put a lot of emphasis on the Black aesthetic, like our style, how we dress, how we look. Like that was basically what was put to the world as the theme of this year's Met Gala. Now, as we just discussed, dandyism was really specifically for men, right? Menswear, men's suits, tailoring. Now, during this era of dandyism and not Black dandyism, women were around these circles. Women were in these spaces, right? So my thing is like, so when you ask me, dandyism to me is referencing Black menswear. It reflects Black men, and it reflects how Black men had to enter society. When did we hear about when Black women had to enter society? When did that occur? When did Black women have to conform to a specific look through history to be implemented into society, to be like, okay, now we can accept this Black woman. Now we can have this Black woman come into spaces. Now, this is where I have a problem with Black dandyism, and I have a problem with super fine, because where does it come in? Where does the story of Black women come in when it comes to dress? Where does the story of Black women comes in when it comes to, you know, and even like conformity, or even her experiences being led into society as Black American women? So I just felt like, you know, this could have been like a really, really good time, a perfect time for Black women to come to the Met Gala, reclaiming that history, reclaiming that missed opportunity when it comes, like that missed story. Like where is the Black woman's story about how her having to implement her into society? And when you think about men and menswear, and you think about the antebellum and stuff, like black men were like the only, like Black men was the people that had to go, okay, now I'm about to go get this land. Now I gotta go figure out about work. Now I gotta, you know what I'm saying? It was no historical monumental like history when it came to Black women having to enter society. So where does her story come in when it comes to dress? Where? It's not about Black style just for men. This is about the Black experience, the Black unit, the Black man and the Black woman. The Black man's experience and the Black woman's experience. So that's my problem when it comes to dandyism, and that was my problem when it came to like just the whole menswear aesthetic. And to me, it just makes me feel like it just gives white society and the mainstream society, like Vogue, like the Costume Institute, like the Metropolitan Museum, not really to emphasize on the landscape, the contributions that Black women themselves contributed to fashion, what they contributed to beauty, what they contributed to keeping the Black man and the Black family together. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, for me specifically, you can't talk about the Black man experience into society without talking about the Black woman's experience in society, because they go hand in hand. You feel what I'm saying? Like, do you really get what I'm saying? So when you think about the way that they present our own culture to us, it can be dehumanizing still. It can still lack depth. It can still lack historical context, because it's like, well, where is the woman that came into society? When we talk about Black dandyism, and we talk about this era of the zoot suit, and we talk about this era of the Europeans, and you know where dandyism came from, women weren't dressed in suits. women weren't dressed like this. Women weren't dressed like this and, you know, dressed like that. They were dressed like this. They were dressed like this. And I'm talking about the European women, right? The European women. Now we, as black dandies men, we dress like the European men. This is what I'm trying to break down. Now we dress like the European men. We dress like the European standards of white men. Why don't we have the same thing for our women? Why is it our women dressing like the European women when it comes to the ideals of conformity and changing that conformity and making it more historical context to it? Like, I understand that, you know, the dress code was menswear, but Megan Thee Stallion, for example, Diana Ross, for an example, even Kylie Jenner, for an example, even Kim Kardashian, for an example, compare them to like the Mary J. Blige's that came on the carpet on Monday night. Mary J. Blige, Tiana Taylor, who else? Tiana Taylor, Mary J. Blige. I'm gonna add more pictures of more black women that was on the carpet, but compare them to their white counterparts. Historically, it is very telling, and it just shows you the concepts and the aesthetics they push on black people, and particularly in this conversation, black women. You can see how Sabrina Carpenter came more feminine than her peer Doechii. You see what I'm saying? Even though Sabrina Carpenter, she followed the dress code, but as you can see for Sabrina Carpenter and Doechii, Sabrina Carpenter's look was way more feminine, going back and reflecting back to the Victorian era in the 19th century, how white women dressed feminine, right? And it just goes to show you that what it is for them to have black women be more masculine. So, I mean, y'all, I don't know. I just feel like I don't like the fact that, you know, black women has contributed so much to fashion, beauty, the black family unit, and just America as in a whole. And on a broader schemes of things, black women necessarily never had their introduction to society as black women, not alongside the black man. And I just think that has a lot to do with how black women are perceived and how black women dress this Met Gala for super fine tailoring black style. And another thing is, look at the word super fine tailoring black style. Is that a coincidence to you? Well, it shouldn't be. And when you look at the word super fine, it's like it just describes like a slave owner. Ooh, look at my slave. Look at you. Now you super fine. And it's just like when you look at tailoring black style, it's kind of in the sense of like white people, white Eurocentric people, like tailoring our style for us, curating how we dress, how we look. You know, so I just want y'all to think about more of the aspect of like black women when it comes to the dandy. You know, a dandy always has a woman by his side, regardless of, you know, how he dresses, or like not how he dresses, but regardless of what's going on during that time, or what's being perceived as masculine or feminine, or drawing the lines between this or drawing the lines between that. You know, looking at Diana Ross and what she wore was like a perfect example of bringing the time period into this Met Gala theme, and not necessarily disrespecting the dress code, but reclaiming black woman femininity and being women, and not having to rely on, you know, being masculine, and, you know, not having nobody to be by your side, and all of those type of things that black women have to experience. You know, so I just wish black women came through a little bit more feminine instead of masculine, like Mary J. Blige, which, you know, she's always really been a dandy, you know, throughout her entire career to her debut, from her debut era to now. She's always been a dandy. But looking at Tiana Taylor, looking at most of the black women that was there, I can't really think of them off of my name, but to me they were too masculine. And I just wish this was a time where they just reclaimed their femininity and not had to conform to being the main source of the black household, not having to take on the boots of being the power of America. You know what I'm saying? So visually, I want you guys to think about that. I want you guys to think about why the white woman was able to dress more feminine and stay on code, while the black woman was not really able to be as feminine and stay on code. Look at Coco Jones. I mean, her gown to me was like very, very masculine, but it was also very, very feminine. But it leaned a lot more towards the masculine side than the feminine side. Look at Jodie Turner-Smith. Even hers was a lot more feminine. Hers was feminine and really masculine, and you can see lots of the both. And I appreciated her look, even though it still exuded femininity as well as masculinity. But I just wasn't for the black woman being presented as extremely masculine. And yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. So yeah, I'm going to be dropping another video about Black Dandyism. And again, my apologies, y'all, for not being as consistent. I just been dealing with a lot and trying to not be as perfect, getting here on YouTube and just uploading and just showing y'all my perspective of who I am and what I have to offer when it comes to the fashion industry. And yeah, if you made it this far, why haven't you subscribed yet? Subscribe, like this video, get this video through the algorithm, and help me out. Help me out. Help me out. Help me out for black fashion. Help me out for black culture, for streetwear. Get your boy through the algorithm, and let's get this conversation started when it comes to black femininity and black women always having to be as masculine and be way more masculine, especially when it comes to entertainment and media at large, and why black women are always portrayed more masculine than their white peers. My name is DJ Selby. This is Cloud -9, and I'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.